Hello, everyone, and welcome to ATL Falcons UK. This week, me and Cal are joined by a ton of guests, and we're going to go through the GM interview, the head coach interviews, our thoughts on what they're both looking like so far, and then whatever it leads to along the way. So, Cal, I'll let you get going.
Yeah, so you lucky people, this will be our second positive show in a row, which we don't usually get much. So obviously we're going to talk about our head coach, Arthur Smith, and Terry Fontenot. It's going to be a positive show like last week, and anyone who's not hyped about this and who's not watched the interviews needs to absolutely fuck off, because I've watched comments all over Twitter. I think James mentioned some yesterday. And how can you not be hyped with a new start? Everyone wanted a new start. We've got a new start. Get on the hype train and fucking enjoy it. Who else got any other takes?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
That was a quick show.
I was just going to say, go on. What's everyone? All right, let's start on Smith then. Let's go head coach first, because that got unveiled first. So what's everyone thinking about, not just the interviews, but just about what we've seen so far and what we've heard from other people and that?
I think he's going to make the offense a lot better. We'll get a stronger running game in one way, shape, or form, and he'll make the passing game more explosive and make Ridley and Jones an even more deadly combination.
I agree. I think he's probably the right man for the job, in terms of he's made this is going to go down a treat with Titans, but he's made some very average players perform in a brilliant system that's made them overachieve. And I'm not saying they were perfect, and I'm not saying they were shite or anything, and the players are okay, but on paper we've got a much better offense than they have. So if you can do things like that with players like that, then I don't see why he can't turn us around, and especially the running game.
I think Tennessee very much in the way that they utilize what they had. So I'm quite a big believer in quarterbacks fit in the right systems. They don't necessarily just go to a franchise and make it work. I don't think that's their job, although I think they're heavily judged by that. Hence my disagreement with Christian earlier in the week about Eli Manning. But I think a player like Tannehill was absolutely made better, and his strengths were played to more by Smith than he ever was in Miami. I think when he went to Miami, it was very much a case of we're a bit shit, so we're just hoping you can help out. And I think with Tennessee, I think they were quite direct in the fact that, and you can see it in Derrick Henry's stats. You know, the guy's a monster. He's not your average back, and he's been made into a very, very, very substantially paid running back. That is, and he's played to his strengths. And I actually wouldn't be surprised, although it's quite conceivable that his performance does carry on. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see Derrick Henry actually start to drop off with the absence of Smith, because I think that he obviously has his offenses ran in a particular kind of way. Yeah. And for me, the fact that he's come straight out and gone, I'm calling the plays. It's on me. That to me is a fucking pair of testicles, lads. And we have offensive weapons that the whole NFL, no matter how much people fucking hate us, nobody can fucking deny how many good pieces we've got on offense.
No.
So the testicles of the man come out and go, look, I'm coming to this place to try and turn it around, and actually I'm gonna call the fucking plays. That's a statement of intent from me, kind of beyond anything else that he said this week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? and let's go balls to the wall. Let's do it. And I'm more excited now because he's taking accountability, which is something that my old pal Raheem never really fucking did. He was just like, meh, I'm here. I've got to do what I've got to do. I'll make people responsible for the shit, I guess. And I'll call some people out to make us look like I've got some testicles when I really don't. So, yeah, I think it's just refreshing. It was certainly what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, I'd agree. Tricky, if you got anything to add on that? You look like you're waiting for it.
No, not at all. Told you I'm into kids bloody big British Bake Offs on the telly, so I'm intrigued. I think the only two things I like about Arthur Smith is, one, he doesn't need a job. His family is one of the richest in America. He doesn't need a job. So the fact that he's worked his way from running the dirty socks into the washing bin down wherever to now being a head coach, and he's studied his ass off every single step of the way to get to that level, just shows the willpower of the man, the mental strength of the man, something that we lacked for years. And the second big take is he pretty much straight away come out and told us Dirk Cotter was gone, which won me over immediately. So, what else can you say? But no, the fact he doesn't need, obviously everyone wants to work whether you need to or not. You want to be doing something, but he's managed to get himself to to the pinnacle of the NFL, to the elite. By saying he never really played the game, did he? And he's got himself to such a level, and that's what I love about him. I love that he's got that mental acumen, I suppose, to work that hard to do something he doesn't really have to do.
You went to Tennessee as an OC in 2017, right?
Yes.
Did I read that right? Yeah.
You had 2 seasons there, didn't you?
Well, he was tight ends coach as well before that, wasn't he? And then, like I say, before that, he was probably, like I say, picking up the dirty jock straps out of the dressing room and put him in the washing machine. That's the level he started at, basically.
Yeah. And I think to that point, I think you're absolutely right. Is that he has worked his way up, and look, he's made that offense work in Tennessee. I remember it was the first NFL game I went to at the London Games, and a friend of mine who kind of helped teach me the game, like a mad Steelers fan. But one thing that he hates is the fucking expansion teams. So, your Baltimore's obviously, but but Tennessee, what I had realized wasn't an expansion team. It was actually it was a rebranding of the Oilers. Yeah. But one thing that kind of struck me about what Tricky just said is that he's kind of been the OC there since 2017. Mariota didn't work, so Mariota got jogged on. He made that, and they hadn't long drafted him. And I don't think that's because Mariota was a bad player. It just didn't fit, right? Yeah. So after one season with Mariota, he just kind of it's not working. And then they pulled this kid out of Miami that nobody rated because he'd been pummeled into the floor because Miami were a bin fire franchise at that time. So he's obviously strong enough to make hard decisions, and that's what we need. We need somebody to make those decisions. Because
don't forget, he's the youngest head coach in the NFL now. So
no, he's not.
Is he not?
It's McVay, isn't it? McVay and Matt LaFleur, the youngest.
Yeah.
I thought he was the youngest. I thought 38, isn't he? I thought he was the youngest head coach in the NFL.
Fuck me, he looks rough for 38 if he is. I think
he's only 38.
I think McVay's 34.
Yes, McVay is still the young.
Well, I must have misread somewhere then.
He's
a couple of years in Atlanta, he'll be looking 50 in about 2 years.
He's younger than
his 60s now.
I think one point coming off the back of that that Arthur Blank actually raised is that 3 different head coaches kept him on regardless of his position in there, and that doesn't happen very often. As you've seen with ourselves, our head coach has gone, and everybody's gone with him pretty much. So I think that does tend to be the case. So he's done remarkably well to be able to even stay there for that duration. He must have shown something in each of his positions to keep the faith.
Yeah, agreed.
Definitely.
Liam and James.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got to be showing. He's got to be showing something. You know, to be able to impress all these different head coaches and be promoted by these head coaches as well. So he's obviously got something now, and that can only be to our betterment. Well, hopefully to our betterment. He can bring what he's learned and just bring it to us and just improve us. Touch wood.
The thing that sort of also impressed me, he plays to his players' strengths.
Yeah.
So you had AJ Brown and Corey Davis in Tennessee, 2 big speed merchants who can stretch the field. You've got Adam Humphries in the slot, and then you've got a run game that will open up the passing game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that. I think like the comment just came up then. I think he is a good fit for the team.
Yeah.
Just because we have sort of a similar personnel set, I guess, in some sense to the Titans. I think I like the fact that, like Mark said, he had Mariota, who was probably, he's more of an exciting quarterback, you would say. He's the runner, and he's more athletic, and he does all this. Some of when these plays do come off, they look really good, but obviously what he has for that, he lacks in efficiency and consistency. And I think obviously Smith must have been involved in saying, basically, this guy's just all over the place. Like, he's got some skills, but he's a bit of a mess. Go out there, said to his scouts and GM or whatever, just go out there and get me someone who can throw the ball and someone who's efficient, and he's just going to deliver what I ask him to do. And I might not ask him to do loads, but he's just going to deliver. And that's when he went and got Tannehill, where, like you say, wasn't exactly the hyped up guy at the time. He's in his 30s. He's injured all the time. He never really showed that he was amazing. Yeah. And then, but before the ball, that was just what he could do. And obviously, yes, he can run a little bit, but at the end of the day, he's a ball thrower. And coming into Atlanta, he's sort of getting another version of that in Matt Ryan. I think, yes, he's a little bit less agile than Tannehill, but he probably is a better ball thrower than Tannehill in general.
But Liam,
I think he's come in there and gone, I've got another efficient guy, and I can just adapt a very similar style and process as I've adapted in Tennessee, and this is the perfect fit for him. But he was delighted he got it.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good point as well, because we all. I think I kind of expressed the level of admiration I obviously had for Matt Ryan last week, but I think as much as I like watching Matt throw the ball down the field, I would feel a lot more comfortable if he didn't have to all the time and had that option. And I think the running game is obviously our main point of what we need to build on. Because I think you get a better Matt Ryan when actually, like last year, the pressure was always on him to do something, or he was going to get hit, or oh fucking hell, Matt's been hit again. Yeah. Well, like if that's what Smith can bring and actually relieve a bit of pressure off Matt Ryan from fans and from the game, and from oncoming defensive lines. Yeah. Then actually we're going to have a better Matt Ryan, because he knows that he's also got something else to fall back on. And I think that for me is going to be another refreshing point, because you've got to look at the fact that, I think it was, I can't remember if it was like last year's playoff game where like the Titans like threw the ball maybe about 5 or 6 times or something like that. Just drove. And it's kind of that, I'm willing to watch us win boring and win dirty. Do you know what I mean? As long as I don't have to watch us getting sacked 9 times a game.
I'd agree.
This is where I think this is where I think the draft has really got interesting for us now, because he's obviously a run-heavy offensive coordinator, and we don't have really, we haven't really got that running back, which is why I've got a feeling, and it's only a personal feeling, that we could be trading back, getting those extra picks, and we'd be going Travis Etienne or, you know, with our first pick, because he'll want the strongest running back possible.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to go and pull it out the free agency, and I can't see that happening.
I was just going to drop a random point just because I feel like it has to fit in, but there's been lots of talk about Mark Ingram, and I'm not saying he's a great player, but a little bit of experience to bring in on a really cheap contract, maybe to go with someone that we draft.
I think he's a good power back. I wouldn't be against it. I'm not sure whether I'd be happy whether at RB1 if I'm honest.
I don't think he'd end up being RB1, but I think he'd accept that as well. To be fair, do you not think?
I think if you're going to take somebody out the draft, you're not going to get a powerful. And I mean, Etienne's obviously not really in the same ilk as Henry, and I don't want to keep making that comparison. But if that's the kind of run game he wants us to have, and we're going to take someone out the draft to potentially be an RB1, you know, for me, you can't be taking kids out of college and expect them to have that heavy, strong run game that he had at Tennessee. So for me, you would need a speed back and a run and a power back. And I think for me, with our cap space room nightmare that we have, I just can't help but feel like someone like him on a cheap contract, because he is going to be on one, because he didn't have any output in Baltimore last year and he's getting older. I don't really see that as a bad idea.
Just bang him a load of incentives. Say you get this many yards, you can make up the money in your contract.
Yeah.
And I think he's also got the relationship with Hayden Hurst. So I think Hayden might be knocking on the door, Mark's door, going, "Come here for a minimum."
Wasn't he at Alabama with Julio as well?
Yeah, he was a year. I think he was before, maybe a year or two before. I think.
Yeah.
Close enough though. But go on, Liam.
The interesting way he uses, I know something I think I put in the chat a little while ago, is his use of the tight end. Now he had two tight ends, obviously, that they used quite often in Tennessee. But obviously one of them was Jonnu Smith, who's pretty much, his game was completely built on speed, and he's very similar to Hayden Hurst in that sense. I think he actually ran a very, very similar sort of 40 time, very quick guy, and they used him in very good situations. They also, I believe, certainly this season just gone, they used him in the rush game. Quite a bit, and he which is obviously not a common thing to use your tight end as a runner, but this is something that they thought they could do with him, because it kind of comes out of the blue. You're not really, no one's expecting the tight end to take the ball and be either hand it off or just take it direct snap. And I think he could.
Who was there with that guy, Liam? I can't remember his name. His name's
Pruitt, Michael Pruitt.
No, Pruitt's the other guy. He's the bigger possession guy. Jonnu Smith is the guy who's the
Didn't they have like a vet? I'm not sure if it was. I think it was last year. Was it Delaney Walker that was there?
He was there a few years ago.
They have Ferkser and Jonnu Smith, I think, are the two tight ends that they run with. Ferkser is the possession safe guy, if you want to call him that, and Jonnu Smith's the exciting, quicker tight end. And I think I don't think he put up a lot of yards last season for them, but he got quite a few touchdowns. And I think he got a rushing touchdown, or maybe even two, and they just run this surprise rush play with your tight end, and Hurst can do that. He is quick.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he's really. And I think that's another positional fit that he can sort of mimic from Tennessee.
Yeah.
But
pretty much man for man without.
Because he didn't have I mean, obviously they had AJ Brown, who was very, very good, but obviously he's still very young. You know, he's either a rookie. Was he rookie last season or the season before, or something like that? He's certainly young. But he's like their go-to guy. And to be honest, the other guy, like Corey Davis and was it Adam Humphries, they're middle of the road, pretty bang average receivers. And now he's coming to a place where he's got 2 top receivers, plus a very good slot receiver in Gage, plus a tight end. So I think he's got even more weapons to work with than he had in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Just going back to that comment as well, which I think is certainly worth mentioning, is the possibility of Gurley being brought back.
I
don't think he will.
I don't. But
I think they'll want a different kind of running back. Personally, I think Ingram's slightly different to him. I think I don't know what, it'd be a cheap deal if Gurley came back anyway. It'd be a lot cheaper than what he was on this year.
It'd be cheaper, but it wouldn't be as cheap as Ingram would be. I think Ingram basically bare minimum with incentives, like you said.
So I think this is quite an interesting question.
Nope.
I think it's quite an interesting point because I think we can sit here and go, oh well, Gurley was a bit of a bust this season, but none of them performed well in that system. So actually, are we? And I mean, I suppose it's an overall question, and I don't know how we all feel about it, but none of them were good. Like Ito maybe had more flashes, but like not like up until about game 5, Gurley was like the second best running back in the NFL. So like with the best one in the world, us sitting here going Gurley's a no. I'm not sure that's altogether fair.
It's like
he's got
you put Derrick Henry in there with Cotter, how he would still do better, but he wouldn't be getting 2,000 yards if Cotter was. This is
the thing. I mean, I agree with Mark entirely. At the end of the day, it was Cotter's scheme that nullifies Gurley and what he said. All right, he's got his knee injuries and what have you, but at the end of the day, he's still got 9 touchdowns.
Derrick Henry's the only one that probably could work in Cotter's system because his fucking system was just to run at people and hope for the bastard bet.
This is the thing with Gurley though. I mean, if we're saying Gurley's, if we brought him back and we'd say he was the number 1 back on that basis, and then if we're predicting that Smith's going to run a similar, obviously you can't be exactly the same because Henry's quite unique, but a similar style, a very run-heavy game. Yeah, he's going to want a workhorse who can carry the ball 25, 30 times a game and really grind them down. I don't think Gurley can do that.
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, we say that, but he was never injured this season.
He wasn't, but I still worry about him in the sense that if you're really just hammering and play after play after play, can he realistically hold up?
I know, but I was thinking the same until I actually sat down and thought about this because I don't fucking sleep a lot, and it probably shows. But I was thinking about this more and more. That we got told about the arthritis in the knees, right? And all of that, right? And we got told, we shouldn't overwork him, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
we didn't fucking overwork him, but we didn't do anything. We didn't give him the game to run, which would hurt his knees. So, like, I get where everyone's coming from with it. I think we came into the season going, oh well, he could be good. He really could, but can he still be good? And now we're sitting here going, well, he wasn't good, but it was Cotter's system anyway. So actually, are we just not really respecting this man enough? I'm not sure we are.
I think we're being a little bit cruel based on the fact that Todd Gurley in a shit regime in an off season for him anyway still matched all of our running backs the year previous for touchdowns. I'm not saying other performances were great, like as in other parts of the field, but he still matched a full running group.
Yeah,
and I'm looking at his stats here, and he didn't go into double figures on rushes for any of the last 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be down to money though? They don't want to pay him if you get to a certain percentage of snaps.
Possibly.
We'll never
Or-
know that.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm talking about our general conversation here, and
Yeah.
like, you know, I mean, there's loads of run backs coming into free agency that I would like to look at. I'm not gonna lie. Fucking Marlon Mack, fucking Philip Lindsay looks like he's fucking surplus to fucking requirements in Denver. Like, there's run backs out there that I'd like to have a look at. I'm just sitting here going, you know, if anything, has Atlanta ruined Gurley's stock rather than Gurley ruin Atlanta's stock? Do you know what I mean?
Tevin Coleman's a free agent as well.
Who?
Who was that? Sorry.
Tevin Coleman.
Oh, no, I'm all right. I'll pass. Thanks.
I know.
I do reckon Smith will be looking at quite a few, like what Mark said, then that are free agents before obviously the draft. He'll know which ones are obviously out of contracts, etc. And I think him and obviously Terry will be looking into it and seeing. I still think no matter what, we will draft a running back, whether it's an early round or later round. But I think it's quite an exciting.
I think like Andy said
really at the moment.
I think it was Andy said in the chat that, and it's on Mark's point in terms of one of the impending free agent running backs is Gus Edwards from Baltimore, who doesn't look like he's not going to be the guy there. I don't think in terms of, I think they like, is it J.K. Dobbins there?
Not a bad little player, Gus Edwards either, by the way.
No, he's just coming out of his rookie year now, so he's never been paid big. So I don't think he's going to be expecting anything massive.
He's a restricted free agent.
He is. He is. I think they might well keep him, to be honest. But
same with there's another one that's coming out of contract in Green Bay. I think he's called Jonah Williams.
Yeah,
Aaron.
Yeah, there's quite a few Williams running backs, to be honest. It's confusing.
Yeah, and he's RB2 over there, and a friend of mine who's a Packers fan said the RB3 that they've got, they just drafted, so they won't pay them all.
Yeah.
Little cannonball.
So, and again, you know, he's their power runner. So I think the RB market's all right this year. Personally, I think genuinely it's a good time to. I would rather look at that than someone out of college, purely because I don't think you really get great bang for your buck when they come out the first round. Like, Barkley and McCaffrey, they're two exceptions, but fuck me, you know, I mean, I could count on fingers, toes, and genitals the amount of fucking injuries the two of them have had over the past couple of years, and that's because they get banged in RB1 straight away, first season, bish bash bosh. Next thing you know, their legs are like fucking peanut brittle. So you know, I don't know whether an early round running back's the player. Tricky. How early or how late do you think Etienne would fall?
I don't know. I mean, some people have been saying sort of late first or early second. I don't know.
I think if we're talking Smith and the style of Smith, and if he wants to recreate a Derrick Henry style running scheme in Atlanta, then he can't run with Etienne because he's just not that guy. I think he might be like, I think he's about 5'9", 5'10", not that heavy. He's not built.
Instead of a bulldozer.
He's quick, good out the backfield, good hands, quick, obviously great, quick, great. He's that style of player, which is obviously very good. Very useful.
Suppose running backs don't tend to be that tall, though. I think.
But then Najee Harris is obviously your other big name in the running back class, who's 6'2", probably got about 4 stone on Etienne. He's built far more like.
He's going to go early, though, isn't he?
It's the same. I don't know. It depends on the scenario. Obviously, everyone's talking that they both could go in the first, but you've got. I always go back to Derrick Henry himself, in the fact that Derrick Henry won the Heisman that year. He's coming out of the same classes at college as Najee Harris. He's built in a similar way to Najee Harris, but in theory, you could say that because he won the Heisman, he had a better season.
Yeah.
But he went middle of the second.
Yeah.
So if
Very
Henry
true.
went middle of the
Yeah,
middle of the second, maybe Harris will go middle of the second. I mean, he could still go in the first, but that I don't think it's a guarantee that he's going to go in the first on the basis that sometimes people just think I'm not taking a running back in the first because it's not something that people want to do. And essentially, the more stacked the class is, the more they think if I don't pick a running back now, I'll go and get one who I fancy in the fourth because there's so many, and that might impact players like Harris and Etienne. They might both drop because of the options that are out there.
Yeah.
So you never know, we might get that.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I've just been looking at the free agency class for running backs this year. I mean, Mark was saying you got 3 coming out of Green Bay: Aaron Jones and Tyler Irvin, and Jamal Williams.
Jones will obviously get paid, which is fair.
Yeah.
Because AJ Dillon, he's the third back at the minute. He's just a little cannonball power back guy himself. So if the fact, because they obviously drafted him last year, if he becomes running back number 2 behind Jones, that leaves Williams pretty much out in the cold. So he could certainly.
The other one that I like personally, coming into free agency, is James Conner out of Pittsburgh, and I like him as a running back.
I think a lot of people are basing it off this year, ain't they? Because their running game this year was absolutely abysmal. And I think a lot of people are taking it off that. But I didn't. Obviously, we didn't watch so many seasons before, so I've not watched a lot of it.
He had an amazing rookie season.
So let's say two of my best mates are mad Steeler fans, and they fucking hate him.
James Conner.
Yeah, and not but like obviously he's got like a great story, and like he's kind of came out the city and stuff like that. But like and I think they'll probably be the first to say, it's probably a thing with Tomlin as well. But like ultimately, they haven't had a good run game since Le'Veon Bell, and like
who is also a free agent, by the way.
Yeah, Connor had that one really good year, and then he's gone.
He's just, I mean, he fucked himself because he had so long out. You don't go from the Jets and then the Chiefs. Imagine the Chiefs taking you as a backup. Yeah, it's going to be great to maybe get yourself a fucking ring before you toddle off, but your career's done. You fucked it. And that's Le'Veon Bell all over for me, to be honest. Yeah, that whole thing about holding out for more money in Pittsburgh was just ridiculous.
Yeah, he'd ask for a fortune anyway. I'd rather go out and get somebody who's maybe a bit cheaper, maybe a bit more to prove than he has.
Wasn't it the offer he turned down in Pittsburgh was less than what he took with the Jets?
It was like a massive deal. I think with him and Tomlin, I think their bridges were burned like with Antonio Brown.
Yeah, but it was over them because they kept tagging him, didn't they? They tagged him 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah. I don't want a guy with that. He's bringing that attitude and that sense of self-worth that he seems to have. That he thinks is still the greatest thing to grace the field, because he's always been like that. With our team, what we sort of spoke about last week, with players like Julio and Matt, and our key players.
Yeah,
they're the complete opposite in terms of attitude to what he's like, and I think he could upset the dynamic of when you bring somebody like that.
Yeah.
It's same as what's his face?
I don't know.
Is it Earl Thomas? His name's gone from. Baltimore got rid of because they got fed up with him and everyone hated him. Like the reason why, he was still in elite. I think he's in his early 30s, something like that. But he's still one of the top safeties in the league. Like he'd be pretty much slotted into any team and he'd be a top guy. But his attitude has put everybody off.
Yeah.
I think it matters more than people sort of let out. Like one guy.
You never heard of any drama in Tennessee, did you? Do you know what I mean?
No.
And I think that's another thing that might be nice, because obviously we've got rid of that other fucking dickhead who, you know, all right, okay, yeah, we didn't get a pick for him. I know everyone was unhappy we didn't hold out and get a pick for him, but you know, it is I don't mind not having a pick for him. I
think it's about the bigger picture sometimes.
I think that's the culture I want. I think that's the culture in the last few years that we've noticed is we'll get rid of absolute knobheads, and I think that's the best thing to do.
Yeah,
There's going to be people who's going to disturb the team, etc. And I think Smith will be the same. Anyone who's being a general prick throughout, see you later. And I think that's a good point. And I think
that's probably the same with the GM, because how many issues do you actually hear coming out from the Saints?
Well,
maybe the odd bitch.
Personality-wise, probably not.
I can think of one player I've got an issue with. I'd love to slap
it depends what church you go to.
We'll actually use that link, James, to move on to Terry. So I don't know if you've all had the opportunity to watch his interview in full, or just the clips, or have read any of the things that he's said. But has anyone got any feelings on him so far? Because he's a leader in my eyes so far already.
I think how can you not like him? I think all the way through the conference he was outspoken, confident as well, and said what he wanted to say. I like how he interacted with the media as well. I thought that was just another point, but I think he's going to be I think Danny mentioned this morning to me about when he sort of broke down at first. It was like, well, it was sort of touching, even though it was the Saints. But I think he'll build on this, and I think he's going to be. I think he'll be here for the long haul.
Just expanding on that.
I mean,
go on, Mark. Sorry.
It made me want to crawl up inside my own arsehole when he kept saying that he bled black and gold, because I was like, oh, bruv, no, please don't go this way.
And then when he thanked them and cried.
It was quite, actually, you know, like, it's different over here, and it's, you know what I mean? Like you know, in our football, when, you know, players will just fucking come and go all the time, managers, blah, blah, blah. And actually, you know, just to see him go, you know, I've done this, been with this outfit, and then this job came up, and then it was like, you know, I was ready to do it. I've got it. And then he was like, right, kids, fucking come in. And then the kids are all fucking decked out. Like it's little things like that where I go, that is top level, and I mean top prime class A shithousery if I've seen it in my lifetime. And it just feels like he's like, right, okay, well, that was then, this is now, this is what I'm here to do. Looking at his records, I think it's a wonderful record to him to have been involved in, with bringing so many class players through. You know, we hate them, but there's certain names on that list that you kind of go, I fucking hate him, but have him tomorrow, you know. So it's you know, like I've said all along, I think it's just fucking exciting, and listening to him yesterday, I certainly didn't dislike him. I thought he was pretty straight talking, and like I say, a bit of shithousery thrown in, mate. So
yeah, I think he just seems to be indoors a lot.
Yeah, I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but I actually kind of like that he got a bit emotional about leaving the Saints. And hear me out before you fucking boot me out of it. But to me, it just showed his commitment to the actual job and to how he feels. And I'm not saying he's going to develop that overnight at the Falcons, even though he portrayed it like he has. But that, like you said, that's just shithousery for laughs. But I like that his job means that much to him, that it's like a huge part of his life, and not just like a job you go to work. It's like he lives it. So I'm all right with that. Like, I'm all right with it. And like,
I also like the fact that he's taken himself out of the comfort zone and thrown himself into the fire when he could have stayed on and replaced Mickey Loomis when he retired. So he's just said, right, fuck it, now's my time, and he doesn't give a shit that he's got to the Aints' biggest rivals. So
Yeah,
Fair
exactly.
play to him.
Bold, isn't it? It's bold.
Oh, he's got massive cojones.
I think the fact that he said that about him and Smith working together, like they're going to talk through everything and make tough decisions. And I think that's what you need. We don't need Houston Texans situation where you've got a GM and then a head coach who's an absolute megalomaniac.
Yeah,
He's not GM though, is he? He's just like an advisor or vice president or something. You talking about Jack? I can't
It was
think
Bill
of his
O'Brien,
surname.
wasn't it?
No, I'm talking
He
about
was-
when it was Rick Smith and Bill O'Brien, and then moving on to Easterby when he became
That's it.
sort of semi-GM alongside what's his face, O'Brien.
Yeah.
He's embarrassing. Jack used to be. I don't know if anyone's read the
Yes,
reports about him, but fucking hell, what an absolute clown! Honestly, I can see why Deshaun Watson wants out of that, and I can see JJ Watt is going to want out of that. And
he's already said he wants out, isn't he?
yeah, it's a fucking mess. It's a real mess.
I think
long way to
listening to Terry's interview as well. I think the one thing that kind of stood out for me, just in the way that he was talking about Smith, was it was quite obvious that he's obviously gone into his interview and Smith's his guy. Like, I imagine the interview process probably kind of went along the lines of, right, who's your guy? Why is he your guy? What would you do to build around him? And that's probably what kind of his plan entailed. Because he certainly looked very comfortable, and I think he's obviously spoken to Smith maybe at length before interviewing or whatever, because it just felt to me like there's already very much a plan, and that plan is theirs to grow, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I like the bit about when he was saying, like, I think the media asked about who would be taking, like, would you do media sessions throughout the season? He was like, no, I would do everything in the background throughout the season, but Smith is the guy. He'll do all the interviews. That's his guy. I'll help him to do whatever. But in the off season, we'll both do it, which I think you should, obviously, through the draft, etc. But throughout the season, Smith's the guy, and I'll help him every way I can.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good.
I think he seems to have from what I know from reading about sort of his role at the Saints, I know in terms of his scouting approach, he wasn't massively involved in the draft. I think he did have some involvement in the draft, but he was at the end of the day, I'm not too worried about that because the draft's the lottery. I mean, you only know so much, so I'm not. But he obviously did have a lot of involvement in the free agency side at the Saints, and we've suffered, I think, certainly recently with some of our free agent pickups and some of the guys who've signed. I put Gurley in there. I'm going to say we know maybe Gurley got more to give, but I wouldn't say it's a success. We know about Fowler, just didn't work out, and we Jamon Brown, we picked up. There's other players we picked up free agency that just completely flopped. But then you look at the Saints record. I know it's obviously not something we want to look at, but there's some players there that were rejected by other teams. I think those the ones that stand out to me are Demario Davis, the Pro Bowl linebacker, and then you've got Will Lutz, I think was obviously the kicker, and I think there was another one on the offensive line. I can't remember his name.
Wasn't Lutz an undrafted free agent?
Yeah, just picked him up off what was left over, basically, and now he's one of the top kickers in the league. So there's a bit of...
He's no young Wei Kudo, is he?
But like Demario Davis is a prime example of he's been incredible for them since they signed him. He's completely changed that linebacking core, and I think he'd been to 2 or 3 teams before that, and he just kept getting passed on. He never really performed that well, and then Saints have picked him up, and now he's just been absolutely dominant for them. And they're the kind of stories that we need to get with us, where we just find this guy, maybe he's the nobody else seems to be able to get the best side of him. And he thought he saw something in him, and obviously alongside the coaching, he's delivered. And if we can get something like that, it only takes one or two stellar free agents like that to improve a team in a season.
This is why I'm excited about who we bring in on the offensive and defensive side of the ball as the coordinators.
I was just about to say that about the defense, actually.
Yeah, because it's obviously a clean sweep. And if Dean Pease does come in as one of the defensive coordinators, we've got the players there who can do it. They just need to be taken to that next level. And if we can find the defensive coordinator to do that, then I think all the better for us, really.
Because one of the things
one thing I noticed with that with the post that was kicking about yesterday, which kind of confirmed Cotter's on his fucking ones and twos. But I didn't notice Ulbrich on that list.
He's being interviewed by...
which makes me slightly nervous.
No, he's getting interviewed.
I don't know. It'd be gone. Everyone's gone.
I think everybody's gone as well.
Have you seen Raheem's going to the Rams as a defensive coordinator?
Durden's going to the Cowboys.
Yeah. Morris has got the job on the Rams defensive coordinator. So that man, and I just like to point this out just as a point of fuckery, and that's what it is. Complete fuckery, right? Is that he had us playing the worst, and I mean it only got marginally better when fucking Ulbrich took over, right? But he had us playing the worst defense we've all probably seen. Maybe not Tricky, because I know he's been around a little bit longer than us, but some of the worst defensive play ever. And he's just landed the defensive coordinator's job of the number one defense in the fucking NFL. That is fucking lunacy.
He's
the highest order.
He's rated by the NFL now. The whole NFL loves Raheem Morris. They all see something in him. So just have to wait and see. Firstly, I don't care about the Rams. If they want to pick him up. It's who we get in as
I know.
how we improve. I understand where you're coming from. It's a bit of a weird one. It's just retreads all everywhere, isn't it? And this is what I want us to get away from. You know, we've done that with the GM. We've done that with the head coach. And now are we going to do that bringing the first time defensive or offensive coordinators in with experience to back them up?
The thing I've read and seen is from a defensive side, Pease is coming in as like a consultant overseer. And then Ken Wisenhunt was going to come in and do, I think, the offensive line and be the sort of experienced head on that side, because he's worked with Smith previously in Tennessee, I think. So I think
we haven't got any sway as to who the coordinators are going to be yet.
No. I think that's going to come shortly, but I think it's going to be a youngish one with the experienced head of Wisenhunt and Pease to bounce ideas off.
Yeah.
And I don't think Ken Wisenhunt wouldn't be a bad hire as also a sounding board for Smith as well.
Yeah.
Allegedly, we interviewed Frisman Jackson as well from Panthers.
Yeah.
Wide receivers.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. If on the basis that Smith is obviously calling the players, why not bring a guy in who's a bit more of a positional expert and is a bit more of a coach rather than a play caller, and allow him to sort of work with the options that we've got here. Because if you look at Carolina in terms of receiver guys, they've been very good. They've really unlocked like Roddy Anderson, who went there, and obviously on the Jets, and they're using differently, and that might have been part of his role. He might have said, "Look, the Jets were just using him as a throw over the top guy, and that's all they ever saw him as. And then they've looked at Robbie Anderson and gone, I think this guy could do. I think this guy can do more than just chucking over the top. Let's bring him into different scenarios and he's been absolutely brilliant for the Panthers.
Yeah.
So,
I think I was just going to say, I think one thing that I've noticed on the Panthers was their like for kind of 2 years on fantasy. DJ Moore was their kind of like up and coming, you know, like their WR1 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then in Cam's last season, I remember putting him in my team, and he did fucking nothing. I mean, that's because Cam's fucking shite. But it's it was. I think it was very, very noticeable, like kind of the last season with Cam, and then going into this season with Teddy, that DJ Moore and obviously Robbie Anderson as well have kind of just shot up productivity wise. So you know, I mean, obviously it's always nice having a QB that can fucking throw the ball, but it seems to me their output has become better since Rule brought in Fizzy, whatever his name is, can't remember.
Yeah.
The other name in the reckoning is Dave Ragone as the passing game coordinator from Chicago.
Why would we? I don't even get that. I don't know why you'd look at the Bears and think I want anyone. I'm not seeing what he's done. I might be missing it because I don't really follow much about the Bears, but I might be missing it. But I'm not sure what he's done.
Trubisky winning games miraculously.
Wow.
Is he out of contract this year as well? Has he got?
Yeah. And then
with the best will in the world, we shouldn't sit up here on the moral high ground considering Chicago managed to get to the playoffs.
And beat us.
I'm not going back.
I'm not saying Chicago are good, and I'm not saying that Mitch Trubisky's good. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But maybe it's not. It might not necessarily be proper of us to say I wouldn't want anything from Chicago, even though they managed to get to the playoffs with a shit team.
I don't know.
And the reason he's gone for Ragone is because they worked together at Tennessee.
Yeah, very true.
It's stuff like this we're going to have to trust them, right? You know,
absolutely.
I think I just don't want you. We know what a lot of the fan base are like, and we know what they're like basically. I just want positivity from people. I just don't get the negativity. We all wanted one thing, and that was change. We got the change, and there's still negativity.
Right.
I get everyone's not everyone wants like one guy. Like people want different opinions, but wanting change. We've been with the same. I think the GM's even bigger because was there for so many years.
I mean, with the best will in the world, and like obviously I know that you boys are a little bit newer. Like, you know, before Dirk, everyone wanted Sark out, and you know, and then Sark went to college, and then now these same fuckers who are talking pure, unadulterated shite on social media, you know, and I guarantee you there will be people who sat there and fucking preached and went, no, we need Sark out, we need Sark out, we need Sark out. Or the same cunts who are turning around, you know, 2 years later going, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have sacked him because he went to college playing in fucking buttfuck Alabama or fucking wherever it is. And, you know, like, oh, he managed to get a college team to fucking throw a few yards. Maybe he wasn't so bad after all. It's bollocks. Like you know, I think, yeah, you know, we absolutely all do want positivity, and you're right, and we should all fucking hope for that. But you know, we've signed up to a fan base, and all NFL fan bases are the same.
So just what we don't see as much. Yeah.
Don't forget as well, these are the same dickheads that wanted Kyle Shanahan out after his first season.
Yeah.
You know what happened the next fucking year. So you know, obviously, these guys who are in the NFL have got head coaching jobs and got offensive coordinator jobs. No, fuck loads more than what we do, which is why they get the jobs, and we're sitting here scratching our balls and watching fucking Hollyoaks.
But I think the thing with like Sark and Shanahan. Shanahan had evolved to the point where he needed to go and become a head coach. I think Sarkisian got to a point as an offensive coordinator where it was like, I'm not going to get a head coaching job in the NFL. Go to Nick Saban, do a year or two there, knock out a Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver, quality running game, get the Texas job. And it's the same thing that's going to happen with like Bill O'Brien. He'll do a couple of seasons and then it will be either back to the NFL or to a big college gig.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you imagine Bill O'Brien coming into us in one of the coordinator positions?
Like we said, though, Sark was asked. I know everyone criticised him at the time, but he was asked to mimic somebody else. He wasn't asked to be himself.
His own man.
No.
And he'd never run an offense. He'd never run an offense either, apart from one game. So he was on a bit.
I think he was fairly criticised.
I think that's probably the difference. The difference this year that Arthur Smith, he's running the plays. It's on him now. Obviously, the offensive coach would be giving him etc. ideas, etc. But it's on him, and I think that's the thing maybe we needed. And I don't.
Yeah, but we had that last year when we had Dan Quinn running the D. So you know, it's one or the other. I'm of the opinion that if you've got an offensive coordinator, let him fucking coordinate. You've got a defensive coordinator, let him fucking coordinate. Don't let him do all the work and then take all the glory, because it doesn't always work like that.
I think on the flip side as well, we've been saying for ages, and I mean for fucking ages, we want a fucking an offensive head coach, right? Well, right, lads, we fucking got one. We got our fucking wish, right? And like ultimately, you know, I've said this many times, and it's not a topic I'm gonna go back into, but you know, you watch the fucking Chiefs, watch them, right? You watch them when they're fucking under the cosh. You watch them when they need when they need a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Who is it the camera is fucking panning to, because it is not the enemy, right? So this kind of this charade that it's the same with the Rams, right? Who does the camera fucking pan to? It pans to McVay because like coordinators or fucking whatever, right?
Yeah.
The head coach will fucking make the calls if they have to, and ultimately, right? Dan Quinn, right? We said it. If that's the fucking hill you want to die on, go die on it, right? and it's exactly the same sort of thing, right? The difference is I've got more faith in Arthur Smith doing his offensive thing than I ever had Dan Quinn doing his defensive thing. So like we got what we asked for, right? So like just like I think it's at a point now where we just got to take a step back. We can surmise all we want, but just let him do it, because I for one, if I can start seeing Arthur Smith offense from our stars, then mate, I'm going to pull the head off it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My biggest concern with Arthur Smith is that he's going to go back to Tennessee and take Ty Sambrailo back. I mean, he's one of the free agents, and he played 40% of the snaps for him last year. So
for me, though, with the key difference for me between Quinn's hiring and Smith's is that obviously we know what Quinn did in Seattle, and that was obviously why he got the job, because he was this defense guru, and it's not a dig at Quinn. So obviously, you know, he only did what he did, and he works with the players that he had, but he had on that Seattle defense at that time, he had an unbelievable group of players.
Quinn's job at Seattle was don't drop the ball. You've got a good.
They were stacked, absolutely stacked with like Michael Bennett and just KJ Wright. Everybody you could think of that was just some incredible players. And not to say that he didn't do anything, because obviously you still have a role to play, but he wasn't like getting anything out of somebody
all players that don't need coaching, really, weren't they?
Yeah, but Tennessee, on the other hand, Arthur Smith, apart from the odd, well, potentially 1 or 2 players, he hasn't really done it with any superstars. He's done it with
None.
others and average players. You've got Derek Henry, and then you've got a few, you've got other good players, but you've not got a team of absolute studs on the offense. But he's still got production, and that's the key difference for me. Dan Quinn was just going in there, going to Cam Chancellor. He could have just said go out and just do things, and Cam Chancellor would have gone and ruined people. He doesn't even need to tell him what to do. So that's the difference for me.
And just going back to the GM point and what Liam said earlier, they have unearthed some really good players in the draft. Like Hendrickson, the DN, is a third rounder, and he was making our first round offensive lineman look bang average.
Yeah.
So I think
finding little studs, diamonds in the rough, or whatever you want to call it.
And reclamation projects. Janoris Jenkins, he was going nowhere and then gets picked up and is a serviceable cornerback, which
Emmanuel Sanders is the same. Sanders was sort of, again, he was passed on again. He was 30. What is he? He's 33 or something now. Passed someone. I think, was it San Francisco? Let him go after his spell there, and everybody sort of thought, surely it's his time to give up now. At that age, and then obviously they went out and got Sanders, and he's produced for them consistently as a second receiver. He's been great. He's still making big plays, so he's obviously the guy maybe that's seen this and gone, I still think he's got something. And he's been following the money for quite consistently for them, which is a shame for us, but he's our guy now. So
that's something that Dimitrov was trying last year, wasn't it? With all these reclamation projects, Treadwell and Harris and what have you, and unfortunately didn't have the same kind of success.
We didn't.
But I mean,
amazing.
But Treadwell, when he got this is the thing. I think Treadwell, when he got the chance, he made the plays he needed to make. So
absolutely, yeah.
I think he should definitely be brought back on if he's on like a minimum contract. Bring him back as like the fourth receiver with Gage.
I absolutely agree with you. I'd have no problem whatsoever with LeBron Treadwell coming back, and even Charles Harris to a degree. I mean, he had
he did all right.
Steady season, yes. So the only thing it's cost us is a 7th rounder, and we've made up with that with the compensatory picks we've got this year anyway. So, but I mean, there were quite a few that Dimitrov picked up last year that just obviously went by the wayside pretty damn quick.
Our favourite Dante Fowler.
Again, it depends who the defensive coordinator comes in next year, and he's got a fresh pair of eyes on Fowler, and there's obviously something there because he's done it. He's done it at the Rams. All right, he flamed out at Baltimore, but he's definitely got something. It's just we need someone to bring it out of him.
Yeah.
They need a defensive coordinator who can light a rocket up his arse and make him look like shit.
Absolutely. But again, I mean, it's wishful thinking, but and obviously our budget, he has fucked it even thinking about it. But David Clowney's a free agent over at Tennessee as well. I'd love to see him come over to us.
Right, one last point I'm going to make is Hennessy. Will he be our centre next year?
Is he only option?
Yeah, I don't think we've got any other option.
Is it?
I don't think there's any centres in the draft, is there? Really?
No.
I think we have to. I mean, I don't know how many snaps he got in the end, but I know he didn't have a great year. But I think for me, in the offensive line, that's the number one position or position set on the field where you can't keep just bringing somebody in and out on different snaps and game to game. You've got to give somebody consistency. and
Yeah.
let them play game after game, snap after snap, and then see what they can do, not just keep putting him in, out, in, out, in, out.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to see him, certainly like to see him give it a go in that centre role, because that's what he played in college, and he was asked to play guard a lot this year, which is, I know they say you should be able to do both, but it is a different position. And I think he came out of Temple. I think he came out of, and he didn't give. I think he went. He didn't give up any sacks in his college career or something like that. And I just think it is worth, certainly when we spent a 3rd round pick on him, to giving him a consistent run of games and seeing what he can do. And if he doesn't look like he's cut out for it, then fair enough, we call it a day. But give him the chance first.
Yeah.
There was the interesting thing in the groups today from Andy, the article about drafting the Oregon tackle. And then
I haven't read that yet, to be fair, but
it's that thing. It's like,
I think
you draft him and then you potentially rejig the line by putting McGarry at guard, but then he's an absolutely he'd be the tallest guard in the league.
Yeah.
Well, it's even
I've seen that before, but we're just sticking fucking square pegs in round holes, and we don't need to be doing that. We need to be finding fits. McGarry might end up as a pretty decent guard, but at the moment, what he's doing is what we need. We can't have another year of just testing out players in different positions. At the end of the day, you can put your fucking Young Wei Kill at wide receiver or something stupid like that, and let's just keep Matt Hennessy. I mean, again, looking in the free agency, you got Mike Pouncey and Corey Linsley, David Andrews. They're really
middle of the road. There's no
middle of the road. There's no one in the draft, and at the end of the day, Hennessy's learned from one of the best centers in the fucking NFL.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So he's got to get a chance. And he didn't do too badly in the 2 games that he did play. I know he didn't grade very well, but I'll take the grades with a pinch of salt anyway. From what I saw, he actually did okay.
Yeah.
He probably got graded down. I think he had a few penalties, didn't he? But apart from the penalties, he seemed to do all right. And obviously, going to get graded down if you're giving a penalty away. But yeah, I think exactly. And we've used the 3rd round pick on him, so put him in. There's no one else, and I think we should be all right.
Yeah.
I've got no problem. I've got no problem with that. Now, the other thing I was going to suggest, or not suggest, but obviously the budget again puts us completely out of the market. But the rumours are some GMs are saying that it would take 3 firsts to get Deshaun Watson out of Texan.
Oh my God!
Who out of you lot would give that up to get him over?
No.
If it meant we could dump Matt Ryan's contract on the Texans.
Not a chance.
No.
You're mortgaging your future for what?
Mark upset.
4 or 5 years, and then he's going to want a massive contract again, and then we'll be in the same Matt Ryan situation. And first round picks.
I like him, I really do, but I just don't see that being the route. I see just let Matt see another 2 or 3 years out, or whatever he does, getting you young lad in, and then you're not starting on a high contract, and we can start again then, so we don't have to structure it like we're currently structured.
Similar to what I think, something what I said in the chat. If we were a team that was like a star quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl, so maybe next year after, then you might think those for all those 1st round picks and other picks are not that valuable because we're nearly there. So you take a punt on one guy who might be able to deliver first year.
Yeah.
And you just you've already got the defense, you already got everything you need, but we're not that team. We need other areas to improve. So I still think we could trade all our first picks, go out and get Watson, and not be that much better.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting point you make there. Liam, in that there are glaring gaps in the roster. And one of the things that Terry Fontenay was saying the other day when he was asked about the draft is, yeah, he could possibly go best player available, because why wouldn't you? Now, wouldn't that still leave holes in our roster?
I think whichever position we take, there's still going to be another hole, because we're not going to be able to fill them all with one draft pick. But I think as long as we fill one of the key positions, we still should technically get better. And
unless it's Mark Chase that they fucking pick.
Yeah, I can see. I know he's saying the best player available, but best player available is still subjective to who he believes is the best player available, because we all probably have different views on who's the best player available. And there is a few defensive guys down there. They might not be the pass rusher that we want, which is obviously maybe our number one target, but there's players on defense that we could pick that would be very good for us. It's just obviously then are we picking a guy that we sort of, because he was the best available player, and then we're having to rework our team because of one guy. And
similar to what we did with Ridley.
I think the thing as Tricky said earlier, the trade down's a really good option, which I think Fontenay will consider, because there is going to be one QB needy team in the top 10 to 12 that will go. Fields might still be there if Wilson goes higher, or if Wilson's there and someone falls in love with him.
Yeah,
I think a mock draft actually. That I had someone trading with us. I can't remember who it was, but I think it might have been the Eagles.
Yeah, I think you did put the Eagles actually.
It might have been the Eagles that, or the Panthers.
Yeah, I've seen a few for the Panthers and a few for the Eagles coming up. The Eagles will be going for a wide receiver, won't they?
Yeah, in the for the draft, I think I previously sort of, like I say, agree with James, where we might try and get a QB needy team to jump up the board for one of the top options, but I do think there are quite a few options in terms of quarterback that people might be willing to hold out for. Obviously, you've got your top two, but then you have got sort of four guys that fall after that, which they might not be as successful, but they could be very good. And teams might be thinking, I'll just hold out a little bit and take one of those guys. But I think on the flip side of that, the offensive line group this year in the draft isn't that great in terms of its overall quality. There's not that many options. Like there was about, was it, I don't know, 4 left tackles or something went in the first round last year or something along those lines. There's nothing like that in terms of overall quality this year outside of Sewell, who's probably potentially one of the best in recent years that coming out of college.
Yeah.
So that he could be the guy that is in demand, because if somebody really, really wants that tackle this year, and there isn't that many options further down the board, who's willing to give up a lot of value potentially to us if he's still there at 4 to come and get him, because they know there's nothing further down. So that'd be very interesting to see if anybody's going to come in for that. I mentioned it in the chat earlier that the Bengals for me is the prime suspect, because they're desperate for offensive line. They sit one place behind us in the draft. So for us, if Sewell's still there at 4, and we could get the Bengals to trade up to 4, we go down to 5. They give us a second round pick or something like that on top, which they might be willing to do if that's if they see him as the star left tackle of the future. Then we're going down one place. We've not lost out on a guy that we're that desperate for in a tackle, and we've gained another pick. So I think
it's whether we can convince the Bengals that we want Sewell.
Yeah,
because
that's the key. We need to create about it.
yeah, because otherwise we're going to be left with Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's a game. It's a game of chance or chicken or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
in the
it's
sense that
One of
you've got to create the hype.
one of the most intriguing names I've seen today, not being mocked to us or anything, but the defensive lineman out of Michigan, is it Queety Pay?
Pretty pay, yeah.
Yeah, running a 6.53 cone.
Yeah, he's a bit of a physical phenomenon. He does look like he's a bit of he's a bit of an athletic freak, as you want to call him. But
yeah, well, they're predicting he's going to go to New York in the for pick number number 11, I think. Now, if we can try it down a little bit, I'm wondering whether they'll look at someone physical. Maybe it's because I've had 5 years of Dan Quinn picking the fast and physical players that I'm possibly thinking of. But that seems like an intriguing name doing the rounds at the moment.
But then that's Vernon Golston.
Could you see us like what Liam said? If you say you traded down to 5 with the Bengals and then traded down again, so you've got an extra pick, can you do that? That's fine.
Yeah.
I can see that you could trade down with them. You can say you get their second round pick and then you trade down again, and then we could trade back into the late thirds, which I could see us doing. And then if we did want our running back, then that's another option. But I think I'm going to wrap it up in the next minute or so. But I think either way, I think it's going to be quite an exciting draft. Hopefully, I'm not working for it, but it's going to be because I watched all of last year's, and obviously when we drafted AJ, it was just like I didn't know literally anything about him, and the whole of the fan base was fucking crying. So, but hopefully this year there'll be more happiness than fucking.
The fact is, it's all opinions. Nobody really knows what they're going to do in the NFL. A guy could look terrible in college and be an absolute star. It could look like a star in college and be an absolute bust. We really don't know. So everyone's got their own opinions, but the fact is, you've just got to go with what his gut says and who he thinks can do it. And if it works, it works.
Well, I'm looking forward to a year of mediocrity and averageness this year. Clean sweep. We whatever happens next year, we've got to run with it and accept it because it is their first year. So let's just enjoy it for what it is, and I think that's the biggest thing. There's no expectations on anyone next year. If we go 4-12, it'll be because it's a first year coordinator. If we go to the show, it's because it's Arthur Blank's called a fucking magician. So it's going to be a good year. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the years I've been looking forward to for a long time, I think.
Me and Danny was saying about this. Obviously, I think he went 8-8, or like even though like 7. Well, it's going to be 17 games, isn't it? I think they're changing it to. It's an extra game on. But if we could pick out like 7 wins, beat the Saints twice, I think it'll be an alright season. And especially with their cap space, it's obviously off its tits. And I think Panthers are in the sort of the second year of their rebuild, so I think it still might be still quite competitive division. Maybe not as bad as the East this year, but hopefully not as. But I don't also not as good as like say. What other division was the West? Was NFC West was obviously quite competitive this year. I don't think it'd be like that. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's an exciting time to be a fan. And that's about all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Improvements.
Just get on the train.
I think it's a couple of pieces on defense, and then it's potentially challenge or like go 8-8 or challenge for the I think the division's wide open, so get a couple of decent veterans in on low pay, high incentives, and then challenge for the division, because no one's going to expect it from us after this season.
No, that's a good point. And I think the NFL changes every year. Like what Tricky said, we could go 4-12 or 13, whatever it'd be. People would still be like, "Oh, bad year," but it's the first of the rebuild, basically. Or we could get into the playoffs, and no one. I don't think many people would bat an eyelid either, because anything can happen.
All the weapons we've got, so
yeah, definitely. The wide receiving core is like unbelievable, and I think Jones will be. I think Ridley will be number 1 next year, and Jones coming sort of in and out. But either way, I think it's going to be an exciting season. And
I'm looking forward to it.
That's all I can say. I'm going to wrap this up now. So thanks for coming on, guys, and everyone who's committed and watched throughout the show. And one more thing, up Green Bay, because I'm not having the Bucks winning on Sunday. Absolutely fuck them.
all the
So
best,
yeah,
fellas.
thanks for watching. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.